So I'm going to be going over the reasons why that this idea still continues to have some major flaws, and that the government's plan has some rather large obstacles in its path of being a very ideal plan, which it probably could never be. But when the member of government made their definition of these nonviolent marijuana-related charges, they said it was someone who was charged for drug possession. Now, drug possession is a very vague term. Does that mean did they have intent to sell? Were they selling it? Were they growing it possibly? Just because they had it doesn't mean they had the intent to use it. So are we fixing it around the people that were just having it? Does it matter if they were growing it or selling it? Or is it only the fact that they had it that defines whether or not they should be allowed to be released back into society? They also made the statement that if we allow more people to come out of prison, we'll have this more space in prison for these criminals who have been committing more violent crimes. And the way they said it, they said that more space will allow us to have more people in jail for these violent crimes. And I find that very confusing because last I checked, space that's been made doesn't automatically fill up with what we want in it. The main issue there, which doesn't actually go with this, is that we need more law enforcement finding these violent crimes. So the fact that more space can correlate to more violent offenders in jail doesn't exactly go along with this part. It doesn't really work. And they said we have the resources to make this all work, and they were also using that ends justify the means. And we all know that the means are still just as important at the end if the means have this very large drain on the government and everything they need to do. As the member of opposition did bring up, that we still, even though we have all these computers and this technology to help us along the way, we still need a person to man every computer. We can't have this solid computer doing everything for us. We still need people to be working it. And as was said before and repeated, that we're removing these people from this environment where they could be picking up bad, undesirable habits, and they can pick, as the members of opposition also stated, that they can be brought up back in society where they can find more of these other undesirable habits, especially in places that are lower in such as cities that have higher crime rates and such. They can pick it up from the street or back home where they came from, which is probably where they picked up their first habit of possibly using or having marijuana, which is what got them in jail in the first place. They're basically be brought back from one bad area to another. So, as I finish up, one of the biggest issues with these is that we still, no matter how you look at it, we're still overloading the justice system. We're possibly emptying some of the prisons, making more room for others, yet we're still having the issue of what happens when we let them out. They still have the chance of picking up new crimes or new habits that cause them to come right back to jail. They might be this tax source, but that's not all they are. They still are people, and they still have the possibility for everything else. And we'll find that if we try to pardon every single one, it's going to cause more issues in the means. The end can't always be everything. If the means are so unrealistic, the end cannot be justified.
Thank you.